The confrontation between the United States and Venezuela has entered another tense phase, with Washington intensifying military activity around Caracas, while publicly denying that its aim is to unseat President Nicolás Maduro. Despite repeated claims from U.S. officials that regime change is not on the table, the buildup of American forces in the Caribbean is fueling speculation that the standoff could escalate further. Observers note that this is not the first time such contradictions have appeared in U.S. policy. During his earlier term, President Donald Trump initially dismissed suggestions of overthrowing Maduro, yet the White House later backed opposition leader Juan Guaido and recognized him as the country's interim president. According to the New York Times, that episode still shapes how analysts read the administration's latest assurances. The Pentagon's official explanation for its current deployment is framed around combating drug cartels. Warships, surveillance aircraft, and special operations units have been positioned near Venezuela as part of a mission to curb narcotics shipments into the U.S. Earlier this week, American forces claimed responsibility for sinking a vessel allegedly carrying drugs out of Venezuelan waters, an operation that left 11 people dead. Yet critics argue that such justifications mirror strategies used in past conflicts. The rhetoric surrounding Maduro's alleged links to organized crime has grown increasingly sharp, with U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth calling him the head of a narco state. Analysts interviewed by Foreign Policy and The Guardian warned that this kind of framing resembles the pretext used before U.S. interventions in Iraq and Libya. Washington has also escalated financial and legal pressure. Last year, the U.S. Department of Justice filed criminal charges against Maduro and several of his allies, accusing them of conspiring with cartels. According to Reuters, American authorities froze hundreds of millions of dollars in assets believed to be connected to the Venezuelan elite, ranging from offshore accounts to private jets. Trump openly dismissed Venezuela's 2023 election as fraudulent, aligning with reports from the BBC that international monitors found widespread irregularities. In an even more controversial step, the U.S. designated Venezuela's powerful trend, the Aragua Gang, as a terrorist organization, alleging that Maduro's government had sheltered its leaders. Maduro has rejected those accusations, claiming that his own forces have cracked down on the group. Legal experts speaking to Al Jazeera note that this designation potentially gives Washington broader leeway for military action, but it also raises questions about compliance with international law. Military movements in the region continue to expand. The Pentagon confirmed the deployment of at least 8 U.S. warships, a nuclear-powered submarine, and 10 F-35 fighter jets repositioned to Puerto Rico. Reports from CNN indicate that Venezuelan aircraft have shadowed American ships in recent weeks, prompting Trump to issue a stern warning that any Venezuelan jet threatening U.S. forces would be shot down. In response, Maduro has attempted to rally domestic support by mobilizing millions of militia fighters and conducting large-scale exercises across Venezuela. During a speech to soldiers in Caracas, he accused Washington of attempting to force regime change through intimidation, but at the same time said his government remained open to negotiations if treated with respect and equality. Behind the scenes, Maduro has suggested that certain U.S. figures, including Secretary of State Marco Rubio, are pressuring Trump toward direct conflict. In a televised address, he claimed, "Rubio wants to push the United States into war and stain its hands with Venezuelan blood." Such remarks highlight the deep mistrust that continues to poison relations between the two nations. For Trump, the campaign also carries electoral significance. On the campaign trail, he pledged to dismantle Latin American cartels with the same intensity used against the Islamic State. No mercy, he promised during a rally, as reported by Fox News. But policy specialists caution that treating criminal syndicates as terror groups could destabilize fragile states and undermine regional cooperation. Legal scholars consulted by the Washington Post and BBC have emphasized that U.S. presidents do not gain unlimited authority to conduct strikes abroad simply by labeling groups as terrorists. Without congressional approval or UN mandate, such actions risk creating a precedent for bypassing international checks on the use of military force.